Hey Chip, hope you're doing well. It was great meeting you the other day and love working with you and your father. And sorry it's taken me a few days to get this video to you. But I really want to just highlight a lot of the things that you do extremely well, and then just provide you with a couple of tips of things that I like to see you continue to work on as you move forward. But like I was telling your dad, you guys already had great golf swings before you came to me, so not a lot of work for me to do there. Just a little bit of tinkering with a few things here and there. Here we are looking at one of your 6-iron swings, and I'm going to use Grant Waite sort of as a model over here on the right to illustrate, a couple of things that I want you to do. In terms of your setup here, I really, really like it. I think you've got enough weight forward. I think you've got the handle of the golf club far enough forward. Arms are straight. The only thing that I would change is that, I like the feet flare. I want the knees to slightly flare more, just a tad bit more as well. So if you look at Grant over here on the right, you can see that, his knees are pointed, generally in the same direction that his feet are pointed in. And with you, I feel like your knees are a little more pinched in towards each other. But again, not a big deal, just a little bit, a little bit wider, so to speak, or the kneecaps a little more flared out. Other than that, I wouldn't change too much about the setup position. As you start back, love how the left shoulder is working down, the hands are working in, the right knee is straightening, the left knee is flexing, hips are turning on a slanted angle towards the ball. And again, what I mean by that is that because the right knee is straight and the right hip is higher than the left, that's keeping our weight or pressure forward. It's keeping it on the left side here. I'm going to nitpick one thing here. The biggest overall improvement I would see in your ball striking would be for you to be able to maintain more of a straight left arm radius. You set up with a very straight left arm, but here at the top of the backswing, we've got a significant bend in that left arm. And if you remember, from our discussion about controlling the radius of the swing arc, we can skew the low point of our swing arc where our club is striking the ground really in one of three ways. Excuse me. The first way would be shifting our weight to the right, moving the upper and lower axis to the right in the course of the backswing, so like all of our body weight shifting that way. You're not doing that, so it's not an issue. The second way that we can really skew that low point is right here, what you're doing. That's bending that left arm. And then the third way would be to throw away our wrist angles, toward the bottom of our swing arc. Really losing our flying wedge and losing, the flat left wrist. But that's not really an issue for you. But I would like to clean up this left arm here. I just think that's the only thing for me to nitpick here. We improved a lot of things, and I like what you're doing here. So if you take a look at Grant on the right, just sort of as a comparison, same thing. Right knee straightening, left knee flexing, left shoulder working down, arms and hands working in, but he's maintained the straight left arm much better, and that's going to help him deliver a lot of speed there. As you start down, you make a nice move into your left side, nice transition down. Again, you can see the weight and the pressure moving forward. I would, however, like to see your left knee slightly moving down and forward just a little bit more. Not a whole lot, and again, don't want you to go out and overdo these things, but I'd like to see a greater separation between the knees from P4, which is right here, to P5, left arm parallel to ground. I'd like to see the left knee moving away from the right knee a little bit better. If you watch Grant here at the top, you can really see how his left knee moves away from his right knee, and he squats and presses into the ground. Now, part of this is because your knees are not rotated out correctly, but again, just using sort of a measurement here, you can see his left the outside part of his left knee is almost outside of his left foot. So Grant's really far forward here. What I prescribe is about 1 to 2 inches, left kneecap 1 to 2 inches outside the left ankle, and that's where I see the opportunity for you to move just a little bit further forward. As you approach impact, here you are in a pretty solid impact position. Nice flat left wrist. Arms have straightened back out, so obviously this was a solid, very, very solid shot. Accumulator is releasing a little bit behind you, but I'm okay with that. Here's Grant at impact. You can see the handle's a little more forward than yours. Not necessarily an issue. You hit the ball plenty far enough, and you hit it plenty high enough. So I'm not really overly that concerned. Your footwork looks good. Right foot is still down. Right foot is banking inward. But here's where you have the single biggest opportunity in your golf swing in my eyes, and this is the extension piece from P6, which is right here, shaft parallel to the ground, to P8, which is right here. You can see that your hips move forward and then they stop and then they actually move backwards. So there's no, Mike and Andy used the term raising your belt or tucking your hips. You're really not extending your spine and you're not extending your pelvis in the follow through, and we're really not jumping off the ground and using the ground to generate speed as much as I would like. If you look at Grant here on the right, watch how he goes from P6, and what I want you to note is the amount of bend that's in his left knee here, and watch how the bend comes out of his left knee from P6 to P8. You can see it there. He's really jumping and tucking. Belt line is really raised. Hips are really pushed forward here into the follow through. You get that nice curvature in the belly down the right leg to the right knee. That lets you know the hips have really, really sort of tucked underneath him and pushed forward in this direction. You also see his arms are much straighter in the follow through, and that's because he has extended more than you, and your arms just sort of collapse on you. Right knee has a lot of bend in it. So this is where I see the biggest opportunity in your swing, and you can work on it. And all right, here's the drill I prescribed for you, and this is a student where you can see all he's doing is isolating and working on the extension piece from basically just past P5. So he's actually starting from right here. He's got the weight forward, and he's going to move the weight further forward. He's going to start extending, jumping, straight arms, tucking, raising the handle. That's the finish. So you can see, you can hit balls in that fashion, but he's just really isolating that piece. See how your right wrist is rolled over the left, face shutting down, shoulders haven't turned as much, hips aren't forward. You can see the move on the right. The student is doing that drill, and you can see he swings the club very much like Troy Madison, who's a stack and tilt player, and you can see those similarities. Here's Troy for you hitting a driver, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Weight the furthest forward with a driver really extends a lot in the follow through. So again, that's kind of what I want you to work on, that drill on the right. And let's take a look at your driver swing real quick. Sorry. Where are you? All right. And I'm going to use Dean Wilson as a driver model. So, like a lot of things about your driver setup here, one thing I would like you to do, if you'll note Dean Wilson's left foot, I want you to turn your left foot out just a tad bit more with this club. There's a lot of torque being placed on that left knee, and there's just such an emphasis of getting to our left side and getting the hips to clear a little bit. So I want you to make that slight modification. But I like the handle forward position. I like this swing a lot. Right knee straightening, left knee flexing. Again, left arm a little soft. Like to tighten that up a little bit. Compare that with Dean, who makes a very, very centered, stable shoulder turn. You can see Dean extending the most here. A vertical spine. Notice how the left knee's breaking in nicely. And then you're moving to impact. You're really getting back to your left side. Hips are clearing. Handle staying forward. I mean, dude, that right there is phenomenal. So, not a whole lot I would tinker with there. The handle's forward, beautiful flat left wrist, right arm flying wedge is still there. Hips are open, shoulders are slightly open. The pelvis is extending, believe it or not, more in this driver than it was in the 7-iron, and it should, but it's more visible that you improved toward the end of the session there. But I can really see how the right leg is straightening out. And here's Dean and the impact. A lot of similarities there. I think you got the handle even more forward than Dean, but really, really good driver swing by you. The emphasis for you is to get you to hit up on it. And how we're going to do that in your golf swing is a lot of it's going to be predicated in your setup, okay? So I want the center of your hips to be slightly more forward, and what that's going to do is create a little more axis tilt. And what axis tilt is, this basically the spine angle here. And the more we move the lower center forward, the more tilt, rightward tilt we're going to have at address, and the more hopefully we're going to have at impact. Again, looking at your impact position, you've got some tilt there. So you've done a nice job there. Again, I really like your driver swing, so not going to do a whole lot of critiquing there. I just want us to be able to hit up on it. And remember, the feeling of hitting up was feeling the handle raising or rising through impact, not going down low and left with the handle, but going up and out to the right, feeling as though we're hitting up and out to the right with that driver. Really good driver swing by you. And anyways, if you have any questions, I'd love to chat with you guys. Please feel free to give me a call.